Chris, your joke about when I defeat your Dale Earnhardt style with the wall style.
I was so sad when that's not what your response was. I'm like, the wall.
Want to ring the bell?
I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
I'm a loner, Daddy. I'm a rebel. I am the walrus.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to John Hates Movies, the movie review podcast where my friends prevent me from coming at you in 3D.
Yeah.
And instead force me to watch movies. This week, we have with us Eric Largent.
Tally ho.
We have Chris Arsenault.
I watched the movie.
We have James Barrup.
You know, you guys make fun of me for being stupid all the time, but I have got you beat because I am in a new medical trial where I am taking a drug that will make me 3 times as smart as I already am. So suck on that. By the way, do you guys want one? They're called Placebos and they're really sugary.
I was wondering where that was going.
That was
We all just went for a walk with James.
Yes.
That was very long-winded.
And
for
I'm
a very
your host,
subpar joke.
Jonathan Barrup. And
Speaking of
this
subpar
week,
jokes.
If Colin's not here, I get the ribbing apparently. So, this
just
week,
Josh and you.
What?
But his name's John.
This week coming at you in 3D, Johnny. Are we recording this podcast in 3D right now?
Yes, we are.
Third dimension.
We are recording it in 3D.
Sometimes fourth dimension.
Don't worry, there's going to be a special tone for when it's time to put on your 3D glasses. That was it.
That wasn't it.
Put on the glasses. All right. This week we watched Hugo.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's right.
My favorite episode of Lost. Everybody loves Hugo.
Is that the one where he's hiding the peanut butter in the tree?
It might be, yeah.
Or is that the one where he builds a golf course?
Oh, that was a good episode, too.
Yeah. Or
What was the
repairs
one where he was fat?
VW
Oh.
Mini. Aw, James. All right. So, a 12-year-old orphan takes up residence behind the walls of a Parisian train station where he meets a girl who holds the key to his destiny. Starring Ben Kingsley, Sacha Baron Cohen, Asa Butterfield. Directed by Martin Scorsese, which was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, you know, that actually, we give Netflix reviews like a lot of shit, but that one was actually pretty good because it was both literal and figurative.
That's right.
She
That's right.
literally and figuratively held the key to his destiny.
That's right. His density.
That's-
You are my density.
What is it, Lorraine?
Yeah, Lorraine.
Lorraine, you are my density.
That was pretty good. Yeah, that was a very good George McFly. All right. So, as is John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie gets to review it first, which is James. So, buckle in, kids. This is bound to be.
This is going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, the guy who got the least sleep and is grumpy and did not get to talk at all until just now today, gets to lead off the podcast. So, yeah, off to a good start already. Yep, already tripping over words. This is going to be awesome.
The audience doesn't want to hear about your problems.
Yeah, this isn't tree talk.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world has problems.
Yep.
That's right.
And you're all going to hear about them.
I didn't know this was Twitter all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
limit
it to 140 characters or less, James.
It's a tall order.
Thread 1. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, we need a new thing because, I mean, I think Tumblr's on its way out. And before that
Tumblr's gone, dude.
Yeah.
Who tumbles?
Kids.
Right. So, I mean, there was LiveJournal. There was...
Oh, God.
Other stuff. I mean, what do the kids do nowadays?
I think Blogspot's still kind of alive. I think
Okay.
people are still doing that one.
I think the kids are still tweeting.
Oh yeah, third time's a charm. Shout out, Rebecca Holm. Keep writing, because I get notifications when you write your WordPress blog. So keep doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
And reverse shout out for anybody that doesn't listen to our podcast, because we will pimp your project. If you support us, we support you. We love you.
Long time?
No.
I'll usually. If you support us, we support you. If you rub our, we'll rub your.
Yeah, if you rub our podcast, we'll rub your blog.
That's right. Absolutely. I need that on a t-shirt. I really do.
John hates movies.
Yeah.
When you said love you long time, I was thinking, we're not doing another Tanzia ad.
Tianxia?
Tianxia.
Did that ever actually get
Yes, of course.
Okay.
With Wu-Tang in the background.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
But we did it for our fans.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
That's right.
Ain't nothing to fuck with. All right.
James.
Good. Yes, a nice reset before I even start my review.
Thank you.
So
cash rules everything around me. Dollar bills, yo.
Well, Eric, I like it raw.
Stop trying to get him to make jokes.
I know.
As he talks to the room in general.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. So, yes. It was...
There's a train wreck in this movie, too.
Yeah.
But that one actually happened in not in slow motion, so
right. But they did happen in 3D.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, I got blindsided by my win last week, so I kind of just chose whatever, and
I blame Chris because he wasn't here to win the game.
He wasn't here to win. So I accidentally won.
A game that was obviously meant for him to win.
It's true.
But he just decided to die.
I was dead at the time, so.
Temporarily.
But he got better.
He was only mostly dead.
I feel happy. I've been wanting to do this one, and there were other ones that I thought, maybe we should do that, because honestly, there's not much I think that to talk about with this movie. But nonetheless, I'm kind of glad we chose this a little bit, because I didn't want to do something that dark after doing Ip Man, and then I watched it again and I realized, oh, this is a lot darker than I remember. It was also longer than I remember.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But still, honestly, I still really like this movie, and even though it gets pretty dark sometimes, it has a very uplifting ending. To the listeners out there, you might, you heard the summary. I'm sure that you might have seen previews when this movie was coming out and stuff like that, and been like, well, what is this movie about? And nobody's ever really told you. And
I watched the movie last night. I had a hard time figuring out what it was about.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's they say, well, it's about a boy who lives in a train station. You're like, well, that can't be an entire movie. And that maybe you heard something about a robot or some other movies in it. Honestly, it's best to go into this movie blind and not really knowing anything, because this movie works best as a mystery, and not so much a mystery as in who killed this person, more as in who are these people? Why am I
watching this?
Me and John were on the same mystery.
No. For me, it's more who are these people and what is their deal? It's kind of nice to follow the rabbit hole as it goes.
Yep, I really liked it when it turned out that DiCaprio was the cop, and
well, I like it at the end when Al Pacino busts in and shoots everybody dead with a bunch of machine guns, and he's like, "Suck on this, froggies!" And
are you talking about fucking Scarface?
I don't know. It's just Martin Scorsese who directed it, so it just would make sense.
I was talking about The Departed, but I also couldn't remember who was who in that movie. So
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Shutter Island.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Shutter Island too.
Scorsese too, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this was
during Scorsese's branch out period. Hey, look, I can do more than just mobster movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And honestly, I thought that this movie was I liked it overall. Honestly, watching again, Chloe Grace Moretz, whatever.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yes, her.
That's not even that hard to say.
Chloe.
That Chloe great.
Mortz. Don't forget Mortz.
Her character was a little annoying on second watch because, you know, she's like one of those I am so smart, watch me be so smart type characters.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, honestly, more than Sacha Baron Cohen, the dog was funny. Like, the way that they shot the dog.
The dog was the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just the way he looked. And, like, even though he looked like he was, like, the dog was trying to act mean and angry, like you're supposed to be afraid of the dog and have all the growling and stuff. Just looking at it run, it looked like it was happy.
Yeah, that was
just
the happiest
running.
dog
It's
ever.
just like,
Yeah, that's a big friendly dog. Yeah, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Like, watching it the second time, watching that fucking dog just run around and do shit, like, I always cracked up just looking at that goddamn dog's face. but yeah, other than that, good movie, good performances, and listeners, if you haven't watched it, you should fucking watch it. And don't fucking look into it, but just fucking watch it because it's good.
Well, I think the rest of us are going to get into it in our reviews.
Well, as we found out from Man with One Red Shoe, we could totally get into like the entire thing and nobody will have any idea what the fuck the movie's about. So I'm fine.
Yeah, I really do think that I forgot to give the synopsis for that one. So.
No, you gave the synopsis, the Netflix synopsis. It just was completely fucking wrong.
Okay. Wow.
It's like when a man has too many watermelons. So yeah, that's it. I like the movie.
Right.
Watch it. If you haven't watched it, and you probably didn't because not many people watched it, go fucking watch it.
All right. Well, who is going to jump on that next?
I suppose I will.
All right.
Because usually when Chris is ready to go, he's ready to go.
That's right.
All right. So yeah, I watched this movie last night. This is a movie that I would never in a million years watch on my own. Yeah, it looked like it was a kind of cute story about a kid that lives in a train station, and that's what it was. It was the kind of cute story about a kid that lives in a train station. The thing, though, that might be misleading there is the whole story part.
Yeah.
Because the story of this movie and really everything that happens in it is ultimately 3 sentences long. Like, boy lives in train station, man in train station has a past, boy finds out man's past. But, like, not a whole lot else happens. There's the kid like has an automaton that his dad left for him, and he like works on getting it to fire up again, and that's what make them, find out about the past of the old man. This is a tough one because while I was watching it, like, the story's fun and it looks great and all that, but it's very slow, and like most of the time, like, literally nothing is happening. Like, they're just like doing stuff, like fixing stuff in a train station, or like walking around in a train station, or going to the bookstore in a train station, or winding the clocks, or okay, so we've already mentioned it, the dog's the best part of the movie. Okay, so the dog is owned by Borat, aka Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen's character is only in the movie to hassle the main character.
Mm-hmm.
There's an attempt at comic relief too, but an attempt.
Yeah, but there wasn't really any comedy there. I don't know. At least I didn't get any. So, ultimately the whole point of his character is to make there be like a little bit of a conflict when we're going into the third act. Like, okay, so we get all the way through the movie, and the boy is like, oh, I have this automaton back at the train station, I'll go get it for you. And as soon as that happens, literally everybody that watches this movie goes, oh, well, he's about to go get arrested at the train station. Like, that's like the most obvious, like, manufactured conflict for the third act to be, because ultimately he's just going back to the train station to get the automaton to bring to the old man, but like some kind of conflict needs to happen here. And so that character is only in the movie to pay off a pointless conflict that doesn't ultimately end up going anywhere. And then the dog, which is the best part of the movie, needs to be in the movie even less than that. But even going further than that, Emily Mortimer's in this movie for what reason?
To be
the
Emily,
flower salesman.
Emily Mortimer.
The flower salesman that the cop like kind of has a crush on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can have some character development.
Oh,
That's
I
pretty
have
much-
some theories about this.
I don't want to like break what you're saying, but
yeah.
Yes, is incredibly very obvious manufactured conflict, but it is there to allow the sequence of events to happen where he
has a redemption, kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
And is therefore ingratiated to the flower girl, and all these almost all these people's lives are enriched because of the small points that Hugo was touching them.
That's true.
I will say that now. Ignore that for my review.
Okay. So for about the first, so this movie's like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. For the first whole hour of this movie, Jacques Lemaire isn't even mentioned at all. And then once we get into the second half, or maybe just like his films are mentioned in passing, but then we get into the second half of the movie and we start going through a little bit of like history of Jacques Lemaire and like the original filmmaking, the birth of filmmaking. And that part of the movie is actually very interesting. And it made me want to like go out and learn more about Jacques Lemaire, try to see some of his old movies like Journey to the Moon.
George Méliès.
George Méliès.
George Méliès. Jacques Lemaire.
Jacques Lemaire invented the camera.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
George Méliès. Close names. But anyway, when we start learning about George LeMay, is that it?
George Méliès.
That's the best part of the movie. When we start seeing like his old the stuff that he's kept from his
and his work.
Yeah. That's the best part of the movie by far. But there's like a whole hour of like really slow like nothing before we get there. And that was kind of tiresome. Ben Kingsley's great as that character.
Oh, yeah.
Like when we
looks astoundingly like him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like in this movie they were showing his old movies and he looked.
Well, some of those were.
I know they were superimposing them.
But if you actually look at like photos of George Méliès,
some of them they weren't though. Like,
yeah.
At the very end where he's drawn on the chalkboard, that's actually Méliès.
Yeah. So that part of the movie was great. It made me really wish that this movie was just like a biopic or however you say that of George Méliès, because that's probably a more interesting story. Him making like he made. So I started I started reading on his Wikipedia page, and in 1902 they were like, in 1902 he only made 24 films. Oh, okay, only 24.
And they were impressive. I mean, that kind of production quality at that time,
oh my god,
is astounding.
I mean,
the biggest thing he brought to it was the transitions and special effects.
Yeah, he learned how to do. Like he was the first guy that figured out how to do practical effects with editing.
Right.
Yes. Like, and that's what he was doing. Like he would stop the thing and then have a poof happen and film that and then like cut it together.
Right.
Like, yeah, it was great. Like it was really good. Like, I just like that part of the story was so good. The ending was very good too, where he gets to finally have his recognition. I don't know how much of that is really true.
Apparently quite a bit of it.
Okay.
His stuff.
Yeah.
He is very well recognized as one of the most prolific filmmakers, not just of his time. The truth of it is, though, he's still, the end of his life, he ran a toy shop in a train station.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
He had notable awards throughout the rest of his life, but they never kept him from being essentially penniless.
Right. Well, but that makes sense, like, because like distribution wasn't a thing. Like how is he getting paid for this?
So at that time, into the 10s, 20s, there started to become a film consortium. Guess who decided to gather it together and become president and then monopolize it?
Warner Brothers?
Fucking Edison.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I was reading on Wikipedia. Edison fucking bootlegged a lot of George Millier's shit.
What it was, like, they had agreed to, like, do a certain, distribution thing, but most of the people who had gotten on board with this as a way of, this is a way to standardize, a way to get films out, and then Edison just corrupted it essentially with his being fucking Edison.
Yeah, well, just turning everything he touches into money. It has to be monetized immediately. Yeah.
It's either money or killing elephants. Anyway,
both if possible.
He killed an elephant to prove Tesla's AC was harmful. Anyway, story for a different time. We could go on for hours about how much of a shitbag Edison was. I might, but
Nazi too.
Not going there. But no, it was interesting because they had like an agreed upon set of like it was this original film distribution that actually set the we rent films out.
Okay.
Yeah, because before that, the distribution was, and Méliès himself says he's not a corporation. He's a producer. He produces things and he sells them.
Yeah.
He's essentially more of a manufacturer.
Yeah.
And he liked the idea of standardizing. He hated the idea of renting because a lot of his films were shown at like carnivals and county fairs.
Yeah.
And the only way to get them, because to rent them was a high price, but to just produce and sell them, it also limited the amount that they were producing. So that they, which is also part of the reason so many of the films from those eras are just lost to us.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sure that part was true where he talked about like he sold the cellophane to be melted down into like pumps.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was kind of heartbreaking.
That's brutal. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the George Méliès part of this movie, great. It takes like an hour to get there. And once you get there, and once they meet the professor, and the professor's like, "Oh no, this is who your grandfather was. Like this is a big deal."
Right.
And they start going through like recognizing that that's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But this is a slow movie. This movie came out in a time where all big films that were coming out were trying to shoehorn some kind of 3D into it.
Right.
And this movie is not an exception to that. This was supposed to be a 3D movie, and you could see it when like the pages were floating around the room.
Yeah.
And like the scenes where stuff's flying through the air, it's supposed to be in 3D.
Yeah. I don't feel that it necessarily took away from it like a lot of them do.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It didn't they didn't seem to change much for the 3D, but they did change some things.
Yeah.
So this movie, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have watched it but for this podcast, and it's not something I'm probably ever going to watch again. I would much rather watch a documentary about George Méliès.
Right.
Yeah, because that's interesting. This movie is just kind of it's the story of an orphan boy in a train station who, finds his place in the world. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's all right. It's a fine movie, but not necessarily much worth. This isn't something that you need to see.
I disagree. No. Anyway.
So, Chris, are you ready? Because I can go if you are not.
I'd really like to end this.
All right, well, I'll let you end this. Okay, so for me, this movie was a bit of a hard watch. Not just because of the slow burn.
It was
but
for me
because,
too. I tell you, man. I was trying to have a good attitude. Like while I'm sitting there watching, like I didn't want to go in like with my brain like made up that I wasn't gonna like it.
Right?
Yeah, because that's no way to do this.
Right, no, because otherwise you're gonna hurt your brain. We're gonna be on another hiatus. But see, for me, I was in a position where I just didn't really want to watch a movie, but it was getting too late, so I decided I had to watch this, or I'm not going to fake this one. So I did sit down and watch it, and I got to admit, there were parts of it that were very engaging. Just like Eric said, the parts about the filmmaking, it was absolutely astounding. Enough so that I, too, read some Wikipedias, not just about
George Méliès.
George Méliès, but also the movie itself, just to see how much accuracy there was. And they hit the notes enough to be somewhat faithful. So he did languish in obscurity. People thought he died, except for except for serious film people. And then he ended up, working in a toy shop in a train station. And then he did get a renaissance. And while he was still, for all intents and purposes, poor, he did get a university fellowship out of it and a lot of rewards and accolades.
Nice.
So that was all really cool, and that was really cool to learn. But the part that was so distracting for me about this film is that this film is very schizophrenic in its narrative.
Yeah.
Because what it is supposed to be is a Charles Dickens ensemble
Yes,
piece.
yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah, like Charles Dickens about the fucking little scamp that has to figure out his own little way in the world.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's it's not so much like Oliver Twist, but I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, like these big ensemble pieces, and for the life of me, none of them are coming to mind because it's been forever since I used to watch all those PBS Masterpiece Theater, but I used to love them when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, David Copperfield.
David Copperfield. Wait, was Middlemarch Dickens?
Not sure.
All right. Well, anyway, the point that I'm trying to get is that it's supposed to be a Victorian ensemble piece. Hugo is not the only character that we are supposed to get exposed to and care about. Apparently, I mean, if you read this narrative, if you kind of really dig deep and read behind the scenes, maybe even bring some to the table. But I think those exchanges in the train station and all those various different characters, I think we're supposed to care for them equally.
I know. Yeah.
That was the sense I was getting. But because I'm sorry, and I know that Martin Scorsese's a masterful storyteller, and he's also very good with ensemble pieces, as we've seen with like
The
Wolf
Departed.
of Wall Street or The Departed or Casino or so on and so forth. Goodfellas.
Yep.
He did not have a deft enough touch to do it in this one, and on top of that, balance the mood.
Yeah. And a lot of what I read is that the production of this movie was really fraught. Like this was a hard movie to make. They went like way over budget, and it took they went through 3 line producers, and
Wow.
this was a hard movie to make for
Gotcha.
Scorsese.
So that might be part of the reason why this was so difficult and why it seemed to change in tone literally from scene to scene, and it was very difficult to tell who you were supposed to be caring about. Obviously, we were all supposed to care about Hugo and care about his relationship with the friend-daughter character,
Yep.
and obviously the filmmaker. I mean, those were important characters, but the other characters were probably supposed to be as important or relevant.
Yeah, like that.
to the
That's.
narrative
I mean,
here.
that's why fucking Sacha Baron Cohen and Emily Mortimer are in the movie. Like we're supposed to care about them, but like at the end of this movie, nobody cares about those characters at all.
Exactly.
We also have that lady with the dog and
Mr. Frick.
Yeah.
And
That was the
most
funniest
Oh, and
egregious-
Christopher Lee. Like Christopher
Yeah, the
Lee's
most
in this movie,
egregious
just like
use of
hanging out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out.
Yep.
He is. He's in.
I know.
He's just hanging out in scenes. That's it.
Like, I'm old and I have books.
Just reading
Yeah,
his
exactly.
books, listening to metal.
and I have a feeling that, I mean, his character was probably supposed to be important too.
Yeah.
And the fact that the narrative point of view throughout the movie shifts tells you this.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just stick with Hugo.
Right. It's not
It
just
bound-
supposed to be a Hugo story.
And then it ends with this kind of weird little, like, apparently this is all part of a book that the daughter has been writing. So that was the framework that was supposed to tie it all together, but it didn't open with it, and it just randomly closed with it out of nowhere. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, the movie is based on a book,
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So that might be it.
yeah, but yeah, they didn't introduce it like it was a book at the beginning. They just out of nowhere closed with it being a book.
Yeah, exactly. So
Literally, they drop you in the middle of nowhere in this movie, which I kind of like. Like, I do like them being like, here's no information, let's go.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's the thing is that the narrative needed a lot more focus. It was too schizophrenic, and it didn't jive with the tone. Because the tone itself was schizophrenic. And when you have two elements that need to be working in tandem with each other, and they're both wobbling all over the place, it creates a dissonant feedback that makes something like this that should be enjoyable very, very hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like listening to two pieces of music that are both bad at the same time. You know, and every once in a while they line up perfectly, and maybe they actually sound good for that 1 minute, but for the rest of the time you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? It's Saturday night, I should be out.
John just told the story of jazz.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean that's how I feel about Hugo. I think that this movie probably could have had a much more consistent tone. If it was going to be dark, it should have stayed dark. If it was going to be a lighthearted, uplifting romp, it should have stayed that way. And you know, pick either main character or an ensemble piece. Just pick one, stick with it. But it is what it is. There is beauty in this movie, but not enough to merit a watch, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's no plastic bag floating in the
Jesus
wind.
God. I'm glad you brought that up, because I swear to God, I must have been the only person in the world who at the time was not taken in by that movie.
I didn't watch it until a while later, and it was just like, yeah, this is a movie.
Yeah.
I like the movie. That bad part was kind of like
Stupid.
Everybody fucking loved that movie. Actually, you know,
listeners, we're referencing American Beauty, if you didn't know.
yes, if you didn't notice.
we are
Everybody
referencing
loved
Man
it.
with One Red Shoe.
And if you ever want to hear how people used to talk about it whenever it came out, we'll have Colin do a mini review of it sometime. All right, so I am done. Chris, let's take us home.
All right.
What's up, homie?
So, I would like to start out by I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Nice.
Nice.
Because the Hugo I watched was quite obviously a whimsical movie that told the story of a sad, lonely, orphaned, forgotten child and his search for happiness through mechanical means. Hugo does not deal well with people, but he's capable of intimacy with his mechanized partner.
Keep going, homie.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Chris, I felt like I could see you relating to Hugo because he's like a fix-it guy. Chris, you're like the fix-it guy.
He dreams of the day he can fill his mechanized man's heart hole and truly begin to turn it on.
Oh, Jesus. I was hoping you weren't.
Being quite nimble with his hands, he manages to grudgingly befriend an elderly man. And through this man, Hugo corrupts a young girl by luring her to commit crimes and harass her caregivers by perpetually bringing up a painful and troubled past.
So far, so true.
The real hero, the station inspector, is just trying to make Hugo a better person.
I mean, let's be real. Hugo was fucking stealing all the food.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Making him strong and independent without the need for a family, so he could grow up and be a war hero and get with Emily Mortimer, who, as we established in the spectral view, is hot. But no. Hugo
She's got avian bones.
has to almost cause a train fatality, all for the love of his mechanical man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hugo is a monster.
Mm.
And only through his deception and his...
Thievery.
Well, I wouldn't even go thievery. I was going to say his
Kleptomania. Narcissism.
His own narcissism. He, in the end, gets what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's important to him.
That's what's important to all of us. Is that I get what I want. Guys, I am very smart.
Sorry, this movie isn't. You're going to end up talking about this movie. It has a very whimsical story. It's weird because, as John said, it has a very chaotic narrative. The tone shifts back and forth. It has a lot of feels in there, and I've seen it before, and I knew how it ended, but it still got me a little bit, and it's like it's supposed to be a movie for children, but there's no way in flying fuck that children would have the attention span to sit through this movie.
Absolutely not.
But as Eric said, I was with you entirely. As soon as they started divulging, the history of Méliès and realizing how much of that was factual, that was the best part. Because yes, it did draw me to do a lot of research on Méliès, and that was the interesting part. And it did, yes, with a few, here. It's all. Let me put it this way: Hugo was a lot more historically accurate than Ip Man,
of course.
I was wondering about that.
That wasn't hard. I think Inglourious Bastards was a little more historically accurate than Ip Man.
Right? I'm with James. It's a good movie, and I wouldn't tell you to shy away from it. But I'm with the other guys. It is a little bit of I wouldn't even say like a drag, but it's a long draw to get to the meat of it. And if you can appreciate some of the attempted ensemble stuff, in a way, it reminds me a lot of the movie Amelie. Because she's constantly interfering with people's lives. This is the truth of it. But it does a fairly good job of not taking the narrative away from her, but you see all these things from her, know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Hugo probably should have done. Not that I'm trying to rewrite a movie.
No, that's my thing.
You're right. I mean, I can't steal two of your things in one bit. I enjoyed the movie. I will say on rewatching it, I still enjoyed it, but also it was really hard for me to get through it. I wouldn't say don't watch it, but I also have a really hard time saying you should watch this movie unless you are a particular type that could actually, there are some movies that just aren't going to fit people. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah.
And I think this is just truthfully not going to fit a lot of people.
So this movie was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, the most of its year. Mm-hmm. It was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, what else came out that year?
The movie that ended up winning that year was also not great. It was The Artist.
Oh, that fucking sucked.
I love that movie.
Black and white bullshit.
The Descendants.
Silent bullshit.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. The Help. Midnight in Paris. Moneyball. The Tree of Life. War Horse. So not that great of a year for Best Pictures.
But visually, the movie was good. And I think part of the whole thing trying to ingratiate all these characters other than doing the ensemble bit was he's really trying to delve out this little world he lived in.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool, but unnecessary, I guess, to an extent. I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that sums it up nicely, Chris.
All I can say is that I'm a complete man now.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, it'll be time for the game.
Let's see what make a game?
James game.
James game. Wonderful.
Tally-ho, John Hates Movies listeners, it's Eric Largent with a quick reminder of how you can find us. The best way to stay appraised of all of our activity is to follow us on Facebook at John Hates Movies. There we'll post all of our new episodes as well as whatever we're feeling interested in at the moment. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast service like iTunes, Stitcher, or Podcast and Radio Addict. If you subscribe to us on iTunes, please leave us a comment. We read every single one, and they're much appreciated. You can also follow us on Twitter at John Hates Movies, or follow me on Twitter at Eric Largent. Now, stay tuned for the game and find out what movie we get to watch next week. And if you're feeling adventurous, watch along with us and leave us a comment on Facebook telling us what you thought of the movie. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the game.
Welcome back, everybody. It is now time for your favorite part and mine. It is time for the game.
Yeah.
Woo! And as
Chris
John,
nods.
yes, as is John Hates Movies tradition, the person who picked the movie gets to run the game. And James, that would be you.
Yay.
Chris nodding is the 3D part of this, podcast.
Place your earbuds up your nose now. All right. Well, before I even get to the game, I just want to talk a little bit about George Millet, because you guys talked about it. I didn't in my review, but nonetheless, if you want to check out something by him, first off, like, all his movies are on YouTube. Some of them have sound, some of them don't. There's one that's called The Kingdom of the Fairies, which they have a really good print for, and the color in it is really spectacular, and you get to see all the really awesome details that he put in his work. And they also commissioned a small band to actually compose and record a live soundtrack to it. So that one's really awesome.
Nice.
And then there is another one that's about 30 minutes long called Conquest of the Pole or something like that. That has some of my favorite shit in the world. First off, it has my favorite title card, which is, all of a sudden, suffragettes bust in, disrupting the committee's important work.
Oh, boy.
Oh, George Millet, he was progressive. Only in his techniques. When you make suffragettes the
bad guys,
the comedic foil for your movie, suffragettes.
Yeah.
Oh, but get it? They're going to the poll.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So as we've established with my choosing of this movie and watching it, that I am very smart, and so this game is called I Am Very Smart.
Okay.
And I will go to some magnanimous words to see if your vocabularizing is as fantasmatical as mine is.
All
so
right.
is this you assign us a word, or you put out a word and we each have to come up with a definition?
I think I'll assign a word.
Okay.
I'll go through and you
Sure.
tell me what it is. Of course, obviously, if you have no idea what the hell it is, make something up and that's even better. Eric.
Yes.
First one.
Mm-hmm.
Aprosexia.
Okay, say it again.
Aprosexia.
Aprosexia.
We have no idea if he's pronouncing these right. That's the best part about this.
Well, he just showed it to me. It does look like aprosexia.
Okay.
Let's see. Aprosexia is when aprosexia is a word for when the fetus is in the really early stages of development in the womb and it doesn't necessarily have a gender yet. That's aprosexia.
Ooh, that's a nice try there. I actually have aprosexia, the inability to concentrate.
Lovely.
All right. Okay, Chris.
Sure.
Widdershins.
Oh, come on.
Widdershins? This is actually a word I've heard before, but I still don't know what the hell it means. Okay, so widdershins. Let me correct myself. I do know what it means.
There you go.
Widdershins is it's the dust that collects on your legs when you're whittling.
James, can we steal?
No.
Well, John, not for a steal, but if you know what it is.
Yeah, I do know what it is. It's counterclockwise.
Yep.
Ah,
Yeah. See,
interesting.
I've heard it before, and like I said, I'd heard it and at one point knew it. Also, the dust on your legs went from whittling.
Yeah, whittleshins.
Yeah. When you're
Yes.
when you're wittering.
John.
Yes.
Dungarunga.
Dungarunga?
Dungarunga.
It's when you get whittling dust on your dungarees.
I feel like I should keep some points here.
Yeah.
All right.
So what you're really saying is when you widdershin when you dungarunga your when you widdershin your dungarunga?
when you widdershins, but you're wearing dungarees, then you dungarunga.
Okay.
Wonderful.
No, it is actually a crooked tree. A small tree of crooked growth.
Huh.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So like a bonsai tree?
Yep.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Huh.
Everyone.
Eric.
Yes.
Azostomia.
Azostomia? Azostomia is the thing where you usually have a completely normal sense of smell, but you got a small rock lodged in your nasal cavity.
No, I think you're thinking of nozzle snotus.
Nozzle stonia?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, damn, he's actually getting pretty close here.
What is it?
Halitosis.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
All right.
Nose rocks. That's close to halitosis.
All right, Chris, you should know this one. Coom.
I might have to see the spelling on this one.
with COOM.
Oh.
Working with your metal man.
Oh, boy.
Bound to get some coom.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, coom,
Mhm.
as you might expect, is it's a silicone-based lubricant,
Okay.
so that it doesn't affect metal parts or flesh.
Uh-huh.
Ah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
I'm going to give it to you because it is dust or grease.
Oh.
It's a lubricant.
Did you really know that one?
No.
Not my coom. My
my-
coom doesn't work as a lubricant.
Oh, boy.
John, I've seen you
Yeah.
do this before.
Uh-huh.
Eat a sorry.
Eat a breedium.
Huh.
For Dadium.
Cisvestism. CISVESTISM.
Oh, okay. I feel like just knowing the way this word works, it's like parsable.
Yeah. So you've seen me do this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's when you're wearing a suit that is a couple sizes too small for you because you may have put on quite a few pounds in the last couple of years, and the vest buttons begin to pop off in sequence.
Oh my gosh. You know, that's so close, I'm going to give it to you.
Ah.
It's wearing of clothing that does not represent one's profession or status.
Ah.
Okay. Eric.
Yes.
Pungi.
Pungi?
Pungi.
Pungi. Yeah. Pungi is the plural term for like a pack of pug dogs. You call a pack of pug dogs a pungi.
They should.
Yeah, it's a pod of pugs. A pungi. Yeah.
That's worth a point, but it is the Hindu pipe or nose flute.
Wonderful.
Well, Chris, I bet you had your hands on this several times.
Like today?
In your life.
Okay.
A gingly muss.
A dingly muss.
Gingly.
Gingly muss?
Ginglymus. You've fiddled with a lot of these.
There's
With your
the
metal
joke,
man.
folks. There's the jokes.
I'm going to say it is an apparatus for extracting objects from tight spaces. A gingly muss.
All right.
That's that made me laugh. It is a simple hinge joint.
Ah, there you go.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you for elucidating.
Ooh, John.
Yes.
Meatophily.
Meatophily?
Yep.
Like metophily.
MEADOPHILY.
MEAD. Medophily.
I don't know. Meatophilly sounds like a sweet Philly steak.
Meatophilly. A Philly
one
steak
Meatophilly?
stuffed in a Philly steak. Stuffed in another Philly steak. Drizzled with more Philly steak.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, Medophily. I believe that it is the same meaning as dysnomia.
You're just making up other words now?
No, dysnomia is a real word. It means I can't remember what this is called.
Very cromulent word choice.
Thank you. I like the cut of your jib. All right, Monopoly. It is the it's a stage, an amphitheater, if you will, carved with cow-based frescoes.
Okay.
It is the study of beer bottle labels.
Okay.
I was close.
There.
Yeah. All right, last round.
All right.
Eric.
Yeah.
Zwazzle.
Zwazzle? Yeah.
That's a sniglet.
A Zwazzle is the tool that that they use in fairy tales to extract the golden egg from the goose.
Oh,
It's a Zwazzle.
Mm,
I think they're just called tongs. Maybe Zwazzle was like a brand name like Kleenex.
Right.
I gotta go get my Zwazzle, if you know what I mean.
well, close. It is a tool, but it is a tool to change your voice.
Ah.
Yep. All right, Chris. A nurdle.
A nurdle?
Oh, no, sorry. Nurdle.
Nurdle. A nurdle is a complex scenario that causes someone who is of high intelligence to stumble.
Oh, a nerd
nurdle.
hurdle.
Ah,
All right. Nice.
That's worth the point. It is to muse or waffle on a subject that one clearly knows nothing about. I never nerdle, guys.
Yeah.
That's wimbling.
Or a cylindrical-shaped pre-production plastic pellet used in manufacturing and packaging. So a nerdle is also a noun.
So nerdling
So it's also
is essentially talking at length about something you know nothing about. That is fantastic.
Yeah. We do it every week on this podcast.
That's right. Welcome to John is a Nerdle.
Okay, John, to finish this off, Zarf.
Man, that sounds totally made up.
Zarf. The noise a space dog makes.
Zarf.
Well, you know what? Chris just took the win from me right there. You fucking bastard.
I'm sorry.
I can't beat that. I can't beat.
I mean, Chris has had the win this whole
Yes, I know.
this section. Chris won the game.
Yes. Because the only thing that I was going to say is Snarf from Thundercat's less popular brother. So.
I'll give you a point for it, but that still puts Chris ahead. So it would be so Zarf is a metal holder for hot cups.
Oh,
used in the Middle
Why
East.
is it metal?
I don't know. It's just made of metal, I guess, traditionally. But you know,
It's a traditional Zarf, so
yeah.
Oh,
It's a Zarf tradition, John.
thus spoke Zarathustra.
Bum, bum, bum.
Hot drinks! Zarf, 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 zarf.
All right, James. Who is the winner of this week's game?
I think the space dog sealed it, so it is Chris.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. Chris is picking the movie. So, Chris, what terrible, horrible thing are we watching next week?
I mean, really? Terrible, horrible? Well, guys, guess what we're doing?
What?
We're gonna watch Escape from New York.
Aw, shit. Dun, 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 dun.
I have never seen this movie.
You've never
Of
seen
course.
this one.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
of course.
Number one.
Of course, I've
Yes.
never seen this movie. But yeah,
Well,
no, I haven't.
after almost God, how long have we been doing this podcast?
Fuck, like 2 years,
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, it's getting to the point, Eric, where you will no longer be able to say that
I know.
because you will have watched all the movies.
I know.
All the movies Netflix bothers to put on.
Yeah.
That's right. And one of those is Escape from New York. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited.
Yes.
I know there's a guy in this movie called Snake, right?
Yes, yes, there is. none other than the majestic, super-chinned Kurt Russell, starring as Snake. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week, we are going to be escaping from New York.
All right. Why do they need to escape from New York?
Because the
they're in New
president
York.
crash landed in New York.
Don't give away the plot.
Yeah, don't give away the plot, James. Spoilers.
It's right in the beginning.
Yeah, spoilers.
Bah.
This movie
Good
has a
night,
story.
everyone.
Well, now I don't even need to watch it.
A great big thank you to our staff graphic artist, Tabby Walters, the Weekly Cast, and our listeners. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, the Stitcher app, through YouTube, or directly on our website. Feel free to send us a movie review suggestion. Every third episode is Listener Appreciation, where we choose from your suggestions. You can reach us through social media, either by liking our Facebook page, John Hates Movies YouTube channel, or following our Twitter at John Hates Movies. Our music was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can find this track and many more on his website, Incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to hear someone say...
Also, there's a sequel, Escape from L.A. So what you're telling me is he escaped from New York.